This news program is proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Now Biscuits.
Oil Palm Ministry new board of directors sworn in. More than 1,000 UPNJ students graduating this week. And National Community Coalition Against Corruption held its first meeting. A very good evening. This is National EMTV News. I'm Godwin Eki. Thank you for joining us. The Edebu hydropower project, launched recently in the Central Province, is set to supply efficient power to the nation's capital, so to address the issue of the continuous power outage in the city.
Continuous power outage across the country has resulted in many aggrieved business houses and citizens. Many have raised complaints to PNG Power Limited and wondered whether they are at it to minimize the issue. With the launch of the new Edavu hydropower recently in the Central Province is a relief to PPL. During the launch, Governor of the Central Province, Rufina Peter, announced that the hydropower project will supply the nation's capital.
This project will greatly benefit the people and business houses both in NCD and Central Province by providing power into the PNG grid to supply adequate power to NCD and Central Province. It will also benefit other investments as PPL extends the power supply to Hirikoyari, Kairuku, Goilala, Rigo, and Abao districts.
State-owned Enterprises Minister William Duma acknowledged this project, highlighting that this is a great relief to PPL and a solution to the blackout issues being experienced in the city.
They were patient. One person we must talk about Alan Go, me notice him blame him. He is a down-to-earth, humble man. So I was saying, one arrogant man. Now look down the line below me. Me no think this approach will come up. We need special people to develop it. So we like commend him Alan Go when the team blame lost without any input from the national government. Normally all investors, especially all land in Australia or New Zealand, suppose all like invest in 650 million kina, all by insist low government guarantee.
Minister Duma revealed that this is an independent power producer under the private sector-driven project to help minimize some of the issues faced in PPL. Thus, as the minister, he is mandated to ensure there are some solutions to such issues.
Improving profile plus city below me, Port Moresby. Lord, this law too, only spending money below. Me no say all the law here. Me no got industry here. Boklo me am to make sure that time all man blame me all 7 million blackout. I want to make sure our capital city and our people don't have blackouts. If it means that if we work on another alternative where supposed to we have a standby, so be it. And boklo me, all people making me working. Me no got one benefit of him here.
Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Central Governor Rufina Peter shared disappointment towards the process involved in the identification and completion of the Edevu hydropower project that was recently launched in the Central Province. Governor Rufina calls for compliance with the existing laws in relation to major resource development that is to be followed by all parties involving, seeing a win-win situation.
Governor Peter pinned a spotlight to such similar existing projects within her province. The Rauna Hydro in Sogeri and Sirinomo Dam that's been supplying power and water to the nation's capital over the years, and highlighted that the people, the LLG and the districts and the landowners have been crowded out from benefiting effectively from such projects and wants this to be a lesson never to be repeated.
Our lessons should make us prepare better for the development of subsequent resource projects like this project. Let me highlight some of the key lessons that we have learned from Rona Hydro. First, the lack of meaningful participation as resource owners of Rona Hydro. The host LLG and the district, I understand, do not have any direct revenue from Rona Hydro Dam. Central provincial government, I understand, does not have any direct revenue.
The disgruntled governor then calls for all process involved to be in compliance with the existing laws of the country in relation to major resource development that must be diligently followed.
I am greatly concerned that the central provincial government has not been involved at all, or to very little extent, during the 14 years of this project from identification to completion.
She said this is a serious issue that the central provincial government needs it to be corrected and addressed. This prerequisite adequately that will result in a win-win for all parties involved in the project.
With due respect, Prime Minister Honorable James Marape, as long as I am mandated by my people of Central Province, as the Governor of Central Province, I do not want to see, first, Central Province crowded out again for power and water. Number two, neither do I want to see my people stop power and water to NCD and Central Province out of frustration.
Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
The first National Community Coalition Against Corruption meeting was held in late today. From this CCAC meeting, there will be a list of corruption issues of focus, including reconvening and re-engaging the CCAC and the way forward.
Community Coalition Against Corruption is a voluntary network of organizations and community groups initially co-founded by Transparency International PNG and the Media Council of PNG in 2002, with the support of churches, the Chamber of Commerce, the Ombudsman Commission and the Office of the Public Solicitor. This morning, in welcoming the co-chair of the event, the Media Council of PNG President Neville Choi hoped to see that the meet was a call to action. Mr. Choi also spoke of the challenges faced. Co-host of the CCAC event in Leh was the local Chamber of Commerce and President. John Byrne highlighted the issue of corruption and for everyone to get involved. The one-day workshop was funded by UNDP PNG Anti-Corruption Project, the Media Development Initiative and the Leh Chamber of Commerce. Natasha Ovoy, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Session 2 of the National CCAC discussion saw participants understanding anti-corruption advocacy and prioritizing national issues through the power of a coalition and holistic multidimensional approach.
The CCAC workshop saw participants come together and work as a group in prioritizing national issues of concern. Drago Kos, a lawyer by profession and UNDP anti-corruption expert, shared how the power of coalition can be used effectively in this context. Kos also spoke about the uniqueness of PNG and commended the role of all stakeholders present. Participants, including those stakeholders present, worked together in addressing urgent national issues of concern, among them the new media policy and how the 2022 elections were not conducted properly. All national concerns of urgent and high impact raised will be tabled and released to stakeholders in a bid to address the issues going forward. Amanda Ilaitia, National EMTV News.
The new Ministry of Oil Palm has sworn in 5 new board of directors for the industry. Minister for Oil Palm, Francis Maneke, said the board will play a vital role in transforming the industry.
Minister Manake said the Mara Peroso government has tasked the agriculture sector to contribute to the GDP of the nation, and thus a big task is given to the oil palm industry to meet the government's goal. Minister Maneke said thus the way forward for them is to fix the industry's framework.
Therefore, it is important for the legal frameworks to align to these changes and provide a conducive and social benefits of this industry fairly across the board.
He said new players are coming into the industry, hence there is a room for more improvements.
To maintain current investors, attract new ones. Therefore, the board will elevate the thinking and operations to accommodate for the growth of the industry.
The Oil Palm Ministry is a new ministry under the Mara Peroso government to improve the agriculture sector in PNG. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to National EMTV News. More than 1,000 students from the University of Papua New Guinea will be graduating this week. This includes the 5 respective schools at the university.
Today's graduation has seen over 400 graduates from the School of Business and Public Policy, or SBPP, who have graduated with their degree and diploma certificates in various courses offered at the business faculty. Friends and families turned out in numbers to witness the ceremony. I was able to speak with one of the parents who came to witness this graduation ceremony, and here is what she had to say.
I'm a mother. Ange Handa Ribu Angena Bay. Aburingo Handa.
On Sunday, Rebecca flew in from Enga province to witness her grandson's graduation.
Agariguma by Agariguma by Ongo Abuana numbering is open. Ongo Suguri Dagamida numbering Awango Angena by one of them, one of the Angingo. Ba move on by Tizabering.
Speaking at the ceremony, Vice Chancellor Professor Frank Griffin congratulated the graduates, saying hard work and commitment has always been the motivation for all who have made it thus far. He says UPNG, like other higher learning institutions in the country, will continue to train and equip students for nation building.
Training you have received in the last 4 or 5 years can now be put to good use to progress yourself. Be dedicated, honest and trustworthy. Be resilient in your workplace. Always uphold your professional and personal values and ethics in your workplace.
41 graduates have received their degree certificates in Master of Business Administration, 5 in Master of Business Administration and Certified Practicing Accountant, 2 in Master of Human Resource Management, 25 in Master of Economic and Public Policy, 2 in Graduate Diploma in Economic and Public Policy, Bachelor of Accounting 72, Bachelor of Economics 30, Bachelor of Business and Management 129, Bachelor of Business and Management Professional Studies 80, Bachelor of Public Finance and Accountancy 1, Diploma in Accounting 46, and Diploma in Business and Management 38.
Graduates have been encouraged to use their skills and knowledge to contribute meaningfully to the country's development. Jim John, National EMTV News.
Graduates from the School of Business and Public Policy from the University of Papua New Guinea were urged to better their character and discipline to be competent and employable. This was highlighted by the Minister for Higher Education and Sports, Don Polier, during the UPNG 68 graduation ceremony held today at the Sir John Guy's Indoor Complex in Port Moresby.
Character and discipline are the 2 most important elements graduates should uphold. These were the words of the guest speaker, Don Polier, to the Pacific Premier University, the University of Papua New Guinea's 68th graduation ceremony.
I would give it 7 out of 10, and that is character. The discipline, the right magnitude, the right attitude, the right mindset, the culture that you develop for yourself. PNG is not localized anymore. Don't you talk about localization all the time because you're living in the past. It is globalization. It is competition. I said that the world out there is not hard, not difficult, neither is it easy. you make it.
Minister Polye encourages the graduates to be the best version of themselves and compete against themselves and also strive for excellence.
Graduated 4 years of spending, 4 years of 5 years you spend at university, and you have a paper here, and you are new, but you also are new by character, by believing in yourself, or are you the timid, normal, unique Papua New Guinean? I same a little bit, thinking somebody else is better than me. I cannot speak good English. I cannot go and do that. Maybe I'm a little bit superior to somebody else. I have a bit of a inferiority complexity. That is not the kind of Papua New Guineans must be. Papua New Guineans must be confident people, believers of themselves and lovers of themselves, and people who trust themselves that you can do something. It's ours, we can do it.
Polye further elaborated on the importance of knowledge management.
In Papua New Guinea, in my opinion, I think there's a very poor management of the knowledge we have. The statistics that we have, these statistics are very obsolete and they're not real. The National Statistics Office is sitting down not giving statistics. We need the knowledge to make decisions, business graduates and policy decision graduates. You will be in this field that I'm now telling you. Some will be working in the National Statistics Office. Some will be going to Treasury and Finance, and some will be going to the other public sectors jobs. Others will be in the private sector. These are challenges. That knowledge management is very, very important. Those are the skills that the universities must develop in the graduates.
A total of 471 students graduated with flying colors from the School of Business and Public Policy. This 68th graduation ceremony will continue with the School of Humanities and Social Science tomorrow, followed by the School of Natural and Physical Science on Wednesday, School of Law on Thursday, concluding with the School of Medicine and Health Science on Friday. Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
Papua New Guinea is co-hosting the third Forum for India-Pacific Island Cooperation Summit in May 2023, when the Prime Minister for India, Narendra Modi, visits the country. India's High Commissioner to PNG, Sri Inbaseka, said the FIPIC summit will address Pacific Islands agenda in the G20 Presidency Summit that will be hosted by India.
The High Commissioner for India to PNG, Sri Inbaseka, said the FIPIC summit will be the third edition to be co-hosted in PNG, where other Pacific Island nations will be attending.
Here, India is not calling all four. India is partnering with PNG to call the other Pacific Island leaders. You see, it's different from others.
Commissioner Inbaseka said the summit is to encourage economic and development benefits.
A landmark, because this summit is a summit where India will explain its intentions to be a development partner, a force for the global south.
The FIPIC summit will be a platform for Pacific Island nations to raise agendas for India to address in the G20 summit that India will be hosting.
So in that capacity, we want to convey. So in this summit, India FIPIC summit, will help us to formulate agenda which will project the Pacific interest in global forums.
Commissioner Inbaseka further noted that India is wearing two hats at the same time. It will be hosting the G20 summit and will also raise Pacific issues to the G20 economies. Cynthia Mako, National EMTV News.
The Teaching Service Commission has commenced its 2 weeks workshop on teachers' personal emoluments budget framework today in Port Moresby. All the education advisors, their appointment officers and the provincial budget officers attended this workshop to present their provincial budget for teachers' provincial education, which will be brought across to Treasury Department, who will then do the overall budget.
The 2 weeks workshop started off with the New Guinea Islands Region and Highlands Region Education Divisions and provincial budget officials to do the budget, including teachers from the Autonomous Region of Bougainville at the Crown Hotel in Port Moresby. The chairman of Teaching Service Commission, or TSC, Samson Wangihomi, says at the end of the week, the officials are going to present their provincial budget for teachers' provincial education to everyone else, which will then be presented to the Treasury Department.
The workshop is generally on working on teachers' personal emoluments for the country. We had it done. We're doing it because there's been very big overruns in terms of budgeted figures. The actual payment overruns the actual budget that the government has for us. So we are doing it. We've been doing this exercise since 2017, 2018, and right through. The positions or the levels that attract allowances like domestic market allowance, schools which are in very isolated and remote places that attract disadvantaged allowance, and we also budget for one teacher, head teacher responsibility allowances and all that. So all teacher salaries, including allowances, are budgeted for. That is why we have them here.
TSC Commission Operations, Maini Mike, stressed that they are also looking at the new base level salaries. It was determined by the Commission in 2022.
You have the elementary, currently they are paid on TO1, which is now elevated to TO2. In the primary sector, base level is TSO2. Now base level will be at 3. And so as in the secondary sector, base level is to be at 3. Now it will be at 4. So most of these changes will also be captured in the budget. So comes 2024, teachers will be paid on a different salary scale.
He says from their previous experience since 2017, they have seen some positive changes as a result of having such budget workshop. This workshop will end this week, while the Southern Region and Momase Region will commence their workshop next week. Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
India is focusing on improving education in Papua New Guinea. India's High Commissioner to PNG, Sri Inbaseka, said education is one area where India believes it can offer to Papua New Guinea.
Papua New Guinea and India's bilateral relationship started back in 1976, right after PNG's independence. Due to distance, PNG and India have lacked good relationship benefits. According to the Indian's High Commissioner, Sri Inbaseka, India is looking now to improve PNG's education.
Humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. All these are the areas which I think India can do in this country. And that is why Prime Minister is going to come here.
Commissioner Inbaseka said they will be looking at increasing the capacity of the University of Papua New Guinea through ICT.
Now we are carefully looking at whether we can do to augment the capacity of UPNG more to serve not only PNG but to help the entire Pacific.
Some of the other areas where they will be looking to enhance are SME cooperations, visa exemption agreements, agricultural exchange programs, and many more.
I see a lot of scope in education, health, infrastructure, information technology, remote sensing, weather forecasting, transferring technology in agriculture. Training and capacity building of your students.
Commissioner Inbaseka said the Indian Prime Minister's visit in May to the country will help strengthen the bilateral relationship to address the gaps mentioned. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
And now taking a look at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.2840 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.2765 US, $0.4101 Australian dollars, $0.2439 euro, 36.63 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York closed, gold is trading lower, coffee closed lower, cocoa closed higher, copra closed lower, palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading lower, and copper closed lower. On the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading lower. National MTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National MTV News. The Ahi Investment Limited, a landowner company belonging to landowners in and around Lae, have paid a 2.5 million kina dividends to landowners during the weekend. The payment was given to 6 Ahi villagers who will use the money to invest in key services of education, health, religion and water supply.
The chairman said Ahi Prudential Limited will manage the funding, identify projects and fund the Ahi Hope Foundation to bring in services needed by the landowner villages. Guare says the group has adopted the 17 Sustainable Development Goals to guide them into delivering services to their 6 Ahi villages.
Our group has actually adopted these 17 Sustainable Development Goals. The main pillar when Mitla by Lugluk were working on investment, Tamil working card money yourself now you will give tonight. It's a check now by the president tonight.
He says profit made from the landowner companies under Ahi Investment Limited will go straight to the people in the form of projects to support the pillars of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals.
We must always remember that at the end of the day, those profits that were made will be invested back into the community, and through Ahi Prudential and the management, the chair, Lady Blomipla Nelly McClay, will ensure that it goes right into projects that seek to support these pillars.
Lay businessman Anthony Sito, speaking on behalf of the Deputy Prime Minister and Lay MP John Rosso, says the Deputy Prime Minister will support projects for the Ahi villages. Ahi Prudential Limited Chair Lady Nellie McClay says the funds will be used to deliver services needed by the Ahi people and will be used to build a new police station for the 3 Mile Police.
We want to be seen as a corporate body helping Lae City to do better, to be a better Lae, and to be a better Ahi, and that's to echo the sentence that Mr. Guare.
The landowner company first gave the 6 Ahi villages a bus each and container trade store to build their own companies in 2018. The companies in each village have progressed well. Natasha Ovoy, National MTV News.
And moving to overseas news now, an annual service was held in Rabaul to mark Australia's deadliest maritime disaster. Almost 1,000 Australians died back in 1942 when a Japanese transport ship was torpedoed by American troops who didn't know Australians, civilians and prisoners of war were on board.
It's amazing timing. Today is our annual dusk service. We host a dusk service before the Anzac service, especially for those who lost their loved ones aboard the Montevideo Maru. So that's at 5 o'clock this afternoon. We're just amazed at the timing of this discovery. It's a mixed emotions between a gratitude, a sort of a closure, but mixed emotions and the regurgitating of what happened on that horrible hell ship. So it's a sad day, but it's also, I believe, some form of closure for those who still have direct loved ones that went down on that ship. They embarked from just down the road here from my bungalow, and it's hard to believe that 80 years ago this was one of the biggest theatres of war. I mean, we had thousands of tons of bombs dropped here, right where I'm standing. I live here, and that's our beautiful Simpson Harbour that was where the Japanese invaded in 1942, and soon after all lives were lost aboard the Montevideo Maru. And it's just there. I'm looking at it every day. It's so passionate, and the Rabaul Historical Society has been running tours for family members to come back and pay their respects. And 10 years ago, we had the 70th anniversary. We couldn't do it last year because of the COVID travel restrictions. But 10 years ago, we had at least 30 family members that came back from all over Australia. Some of them had never left Australia. Some of them had never been on an overseas aeroplane before, and they came to Rabaul for the 70th anniversary of the Montevideo Maroon. All of them linked by this horrible tragedy, but half of them didn't know each other. Well, a week of bonding, a week of seeing where their fathers and brothers and grandfathers and there were boys on aboard that ship too, and even a crew.
Indigenous soldiers play a vital role in defending Australia's northern coastline, and family ties to the defence are encouraging a new generation to join the army.
An emotional family legacy of military service.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Private Mary Ann Weiss hails from the Torres Strait Islands, and her grandfather protected his country during World War II in an Indigenous battalion that turned 80 this year.
Just one of those things that I feel like he had to do because to protect country back up home.
Private Weiss and her father both followed his tradition and now serve in Norforce, the Northwest Mobile Force.
I just have a huge number of Indigenous soldiers who can trace their connection back to their grandfathers and their great-grandfathers who served during World War II.
Australia's First Peoples have been protecting country for tens of thousands of years. That didn't stop after colonisation or during international conflicts. Norforce continues the legacy of 2 World War II militias, which relied on Indigenous soldiers to protect the bush and coastline of northern Australia.
We seek to have Indigenous soldiers serve because we can't do our job without them.
Many soldiers come from remote communities and bring crucial knowledge of country.
Show them our side of things, what we do and how we live in the bush.
Family legacies with defence are now bringing more Indigenous Australians to Norforce.
I said to myself, one day that's going to be me walking that road with uniform on. My cousin, brother and dad and other family members, they were already in the army, so they told me to get out there and see different places.
Connecting with a legacy of protecting country for generations to come.
You're watching National EMTV News. Trukai Sports is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. This year's Trukai Fun Run event will take place on Sunday, the 20th of August in 4 locations around the country. With just a month away to the Fun Run event, Trukai Industries Limited will be hosting its first auction sales this Friday, the 28th of April 2023 at the APEC House in Port Moresby. This was announced by Trukai Industries Limited today in an official press release.
Trukai Industries Limited is set to hold its first auction sales with promising experience this Friday for its attendees, where sporting icons in the likes of David Mead from the World of Rugby League and Olympic champions Dika Toa and Ryan Pinney will be attending. Courtesy of Trukai Industries Limited, the Trukai Fun Run campaign will be revamped this year, and Trukai, as the naming rights sponsor, has committed 50,000 Fun Run t-shirts for this year's event, which will be selling at 20 kina each in Port Moresby, Lae, Kokopo and Mount Hagen, respectively. This Friday night will see schools be auctioned off to the highest bidder using Fun Run t-shirts. The purchased t-shirts by organizations can be branded and donated to selected schools, which can then be resold by them for no more than 20 kina each. The revenue generated from the sales will be utilized by the schools to support various school-based initiatives. This year's T-shirt edition features the message "Cover Your Cough" in support of the national government efforts in collaboration with Business for Health to curb and reduce the prevalent rate of tuberculosis in our local communities. Interested organizations and government entities can contact Ms. Sangiawi Singut, who is the Marketing and Events Coordinator at the PNG Olympic Committee, on 323-1499, 325-1411, or email events@pngoc.org.pg. Lisa Puni, Chukai Sports.
Meanwhile, with the Fun Run auction sale set to start this Friday, Trukai Industries Limited is calling on the business community to come forward and support the event.
With the fundamental aim of raising funds for various international sporting events for Team PNG contingents since 1983, such as the Pacific Games, Commonwealth Games and the Olympic Games, and many others, Trukai Industries Limited is calling on any interested business houses in Port Moresby to come on board and support this Friday. PNG Olympic Committee President Sir John Dawaninkura says the auctions are a great opportunity for the business community to support Team PNG by purchasing tables. All interested government bodies, corporate entities and individuals are strongly encouraged to register. The auction sales not only assist Team PNG but also help to raise funds to help schools in our local communities. Lisa Puni, Trukai Sports.
The Oceania Football Confederation Men's Champions League will kick off tomorrow in Vanuatu. In a press conference this afternoon, Hekari United FC team manager Bonnie Capinato announced this and added that the club will depart the country tomorrow for Port Vila for their first match against the Solomon Islands Warriors.
I have arranged our men's team, our Hekari United Football Club, a friendly game in Solomon Islands. Hopefully, if everything done right today, we should travel tomorrow in a sense of they're looking for spaces for us and we are still waiting for New Guinea. But if it works, I'm very happy. We have a game tomorrow and our game on Friday. So 2 friendlies against the champion of Solomon Islands, that's Solomon Warriors. Then from there we come back. To me, I'm excited about that too because most of our players are very young. They're new to the Champions League. And I love to see them play in a mighty crowd, giving more sample a wake-up call, and hopefully we are prepared for the big tournament ahead of us in Vanuatu, the OFC Games.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Moving to overseas sports now, and with an improved record of 5-3, the Dolphins cost most probably the biggest comeback win of the 2023 NRL season after trailing the Titans 26-0 at halftime.
Was the final score. The match was held at Lang Park. So 26 minutes into the clash, they're 26 points down, and they appeared they appeared like they were headed for a thrashing, but they were able to fight back in stunning fashion. And when Ewan Aitken crossed over the line in the 74th minute to give them the lead, they held on and ended up winning by 2 points. An amazing effort there too. There he is, Aitken getting over, crashing through 2 Titans defenders. In the second match of the day, Manly kept West Tigers winless. It's been a shocking start for the Tigers this year. 22-16 was the final score there. Although the victory was soured, Dalian medalist Tom Trbojevic was forced from the field with a groin injury. Fingers crossed he gets right, so he's back for Origin as a New South Wales fan.
In AFL, St Kilda fought hard to beat the Blues yesterday, winning by 22 points.
After 11 lead changes in a seesawing opening couple of quarters, the Saints broke clear. They kicked the last 3 goals of the third term to set up a nice little buffer. With the win, the Saints moved to 5 wins, 1 loss. The 12-10, 82 to 8-12, 60-point triumph returned them to the winners list after last week's 6-point defeat at the hands of Collingwood. Dan Butler kicked 3 goals, as well as Charlie Curnow, who kicked 3 for the Blues. Elsewhere, Gold Coast were comfortably too good for North Melbourne, while Adelaide snuck home by just 3 points against the Hawks.
In netball, the Adelaide Thunderbirds have won a tight 64-63 goal win over West Coast Fever in Perth.
The Fever-led Sunday's top-of-the-table clash at every change, and they were 6 points up with 3 minutes to play before Cardwell showed why her prize signature was secured over the summer. The English import buried 4 long-range bombs to spearhead their 8-1 goal charge to the finish line. Meanwhile, the Queensland Firebirds broke through for their first win of the Super Netball season. They knocked off the Giants 70-66 in Brisbane.
And that ends True Kai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
Weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Southern region, Port Moresby rain showers and possible thunderstorm. Popondetta rain showers and thunderstorms. In the Mamase region, Lae few showers tonight, then mostly fine. Banimo cloudy periods with few showers. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau cloudy with rain showers and possible thunderstorm. Buka evening showers, easing, then cloudy periods. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen cloudy periods with possible patchy rain. Mendi and Wabe cloudy with rain showers and thunderstorm.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
And before we go, the application by member for Yalibu Pangia Peter O'Neill was put forward before a 5-man bench of the Supreme Court today. Written submissions were put forward by the intervener, Attorney General of Papua New Guinea, Pila Niningi.
The application filed by Peter O'Neill, member for Yalibu Pangia, challenged in Supreme Court last year, questioning the constitutionality of the parliament sitting after the 2022 general elections, which saw about 30 seats not declared. The case was heard before the Supreme Court 5-man bench today. The intervener, Attorney General Pila Niningi, represented by Mel and Henry lawyers, presented 2 submissions before the court. Attorney General Pila Niningi explained the nature of today's case.
These issues got to be resolved before we proceed on to the substantive hearing. So the competent issues or standing issues, yes, court has to grant standing, which he did. But then comes with the competent issues, so which we believe that we have a very serious not complying with the laws. So our lawyers have raised this and allow the court to, Supreme Court will decide, and shortly we will know.
Grace Papiali, National, EMTV News.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Monday, the 24th of April, 2023. From the entire news team, pleasant viewing. Good night.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.